What's up, beautiful people? It's Melanie coming to you from the Outer Banks, North Carolina. Somewhere in my background are some dolphins and some beautiful waves this morning and the beautiful sunrise. Ooh, there we go. And I felt called to get on here and do an update message as to what's going on in our lives. If you've watched my previous videos, you know that I was quite angry as to what our daughter had been diagnosed with. And for all of you that don't know and haven't watched, it's type 1 diabetes. I hit a very low point. I also got a manicure, and I haven't painted my nails in 20 years, but when your kid almost dies, you go and you do the things that you always said you wouldn't do because it's a second chance at life, and it's a second chance with them. And I was always this mom that was standoffish when it came to, I go surfing with my kids and I play in the ocean with my kids, but I didn't play board games. I didn't really play cards. I said that I didn't like games, and it was partly because of my upbringing. And instead of living in that I don't do this life anymore, I've been doing and living, and that's been really cool that this whole deal has awakened that within me and brought that out. So I'm spending so much more time hanging out with my kids. We had a campfire in the backyard last night, and I'm choosing not to take life for granted with them because it's so fleeting. And I truly that night thought my daughter was going to die. I am really grateful for the insight, the knowledge, the life that I've lived prior to her diagnosis, because it's given me insight, wisdom, and knowledge to apply to this situation, and it has assisted us greatly in moving forward and not being so held back by the emotions of the change of it all. I'm really grateful that my daughter's been listening, not only to me, but the other spiritual teachers that she's picking up in her life, whether it's through me, her dad, her yoga instructor, the people that she surfs with, God's voice, who knows. But that little girl sat at a table yesterday with a diabetes educator, and her name's Miss Renee. She's amazing. She sat across the table from her and said, well, how do you feel about what's been going on? And Lily said, I can't change it. I'm grateful because it's teaching me things. And I have to love it, because if I don't love my disease, I'm essentially not loving myself. And my jaw, she was sitting right here, and I was like, and the lady grabbed the box of tissue, starts crying. I start crying, because what 12-year-old kid, just turned 12-year-old kid, is able to look at life that way and have gratitude? And I'd gotten to the point that I'd already had the gratitude because I knew that I was on this mission for a reason. I've embraced, I'm here for a reason, because all of the stars had to align for me to get here. I've also learned I got to stop saying never. I said I would never be addicted to drugs and having a baby, and I did that twice. I said I would never get back with my husband. I did that. I said I would never go back to the medical industry. I said I would never allow my kids to have technology. I said all of these nevers, and they are all here you go, enjoy your nevers, and you can have them with a side of fruit. So here I am back working with the medical industry, and God aligned it perfectly, because if it was anything but diabetes, I'd cure it at home. I would cure it with juice fasting. That might be the answer. We're not there yet, but any other illness I was going to cure with juice fasting. And if she was dying that night, I was going to cure her with juice fasting. One way or another, I was going to do it. But God gave us diabetes, and diabetes requires you to be a slave patient to the system, because you have to get that insulin or you die. because God gave us diabetes, I was exposed to what's still happening in the hospitals. And I saw it as a burning down establishment. I kind of see it as a burning down establishment. But maybe I'm here to help put the fire out. Maybe I'm here to bring a different perspective. I don't know completely what my purpose is. However, I got handed a menu from the Children's Hospital yesterday, and I've got to get in touch with a lady up there named Jordan and hopefully get in the process of changing what menu items they have available. French toast sticks, sausage and eggs is not an adequate breakfast for anybody, let alone somebody that is diabetic. Recommending to eat sugar cereals that are basically cardboard with sugar poured on them is not helpful to anybody, let alone a diabetic. These sugars contain 12 grams of sugar. It's actual sugar, like poured on. 12 grams of sugar, straight up. This isn't, I'm not here to like stand by and watch it happen again, because that's what happened when I was a nurse and like opened up to what plant-based food could do for you and how to heal you. And then I cured the incurable illness in myself, and now I've been on this mission to cure the incurable illness in my child. I don't know quite yet how it's going to happen, but I have faith and a knowing that I'm here for a reason. There's purpose and meaning behind this. By our daughter getting this disease, she now has a glucose monitor that is permanently like in her arm for 10 days. You don't take it out. You don't stick your finger all the time. You just go by the readings as long as they seem accurate. And she's attached to a phone. And if she doesn't have that phone next to her, we're not able to watch her readings, and we're not able to, like, we then have to stick her finger all the time. However, by her being attached to this phone, she's been able to attach herself to family members and friends from all over the country, and people are checking up on her and showing her their love. And I think that's really brightened her soul in a lot of ways, as much as I'm like so anti-technology. It's brightened her soul and helped bring that light back to her. So that, I'm grateful. It's definitely a huge journey going through this with your child. I'm really grateful she had as many extra years, we're thinking at this point, because our middle daughter noticed that when Lily was like 7, 8 years old, she wasn't pale. And then she started to get pale the next couple of years, and thinner and thinner. And so it could have been years that she was bought by a plant-based diet, which means that she had those years of normal living up until these last 6 months, which is wonderful. I'm really grateful for that aspect of it, that she got to be as normal of a kid for as long as possible. I'm really grateful that she's embraced it as well as she has. And when your kid goes through this, I mean, there's parents that go through it with their 2-year-olds. I couldn't imagine. At least Lily can tell me if she doesn't feel right, if she's feeling funny. But I'm up every hour, every 2 hours, checking her blood sugar. They said that there's a honeymoon period where your blood sugar is taken care of again by your own body. So like your body is able to make insulin again for a short amount of time. They call it a honeymoon period. It can last anywhere from 2 months to 2 years. I'm praying for the 2-year mark. We thought maybe she wasn't going to get a honeymoon. We were okay with that. But they're pretty convinced that she will, because they said that there's not been one case or kid that hasn't had a honeymoon period that they've encountered. So we'll take that as our second lease on life and live our dreams as best we can during that time period. But it's truly like having a newborn at home. It's up every hour, almost, if not every 2, but definitely, I feel like it's every hour. I roll over, I check a blood sugar. The amount of stress that's put on you of being in the unknown is like, it's heavy. We're in the unknown still. At any moment, her sugar could drop and peter off a little cliff, and we could be doing life-saving measures. The amount of medicine that she takes for one meal or even a correction dose could kill me or Christopher. If she takes the wrong dose, if she accidentally takes 10 units of the short-acting insulin instead of the 10 units she's supposed to take of the long-acting insulin, it could drop her to the floor. It's just crazy how dangerous this medication is, and we are parents expected to do all of this at home. And me having a nursing background, thank God, but I'm still in the unknown. I'm like, am I supposed to be keeping her in the range, or am I supposed to like allow this process to flow? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And the answer's been allow her the process of flow, and it's okay if her blood sugars are the 200s and 300s, because she was in the thousands for a long time. Her A1C was 14.7. It's supposed to be less than 5 for a normal human being. I think they want it less than 7 for a type 1 diabetic. Hers was definitely 14.7, so double. She's been living with a heavy glucose load for a long time. So we're happy with where she's at right now, and we're doing the best to get her blood glucose under control. It's been an interesting journey. I'm going to touch on this quickly, but not disclose full detail. The people that we thought would be the most supportive on this journey ended up dumping us and running as fast as they could, and I found that really interesting. People that we've had in our lives for over a decade, that have supported us in really difficult times and have loved us and cared for us through really difficult times, fucking up and left, and like were rude about it. So that's as far as I can go with that right now. I'll get more into detail later on, but we've taken time off for our family. We decided that finances come second right now, and her health and wellness comes first. And maybe to the outside folks that she's like up and walking around means that she's doing okay, but I can tell you she's restricted on any like vigorous activity. She was 78 pounds when they weighed her at the hospital. She's supposed to be around 100 or maybe a little bit more. She's skin and bones. And just because you can't see it from the outside, she's still healing, and she's still not well, and she still takes naps. And we are dealing with medication that in the hospital requires 2 nurse verification, as well as barcode scanning from the computer, as well as so many pharmaceutical checks, and then a computer algorithm that does all the math for you, because the chance of mistakes happening with this medication have happened, and people have died many times. I made a mistake and an error, even with a 2 nurse verification on a patient when I was working in ICU. The mistakes happen. And for us to learn how to do this, she's injecting 6 to 9 times a day sometimes. I mean, that's a lot. And so give us time. Understand that this is our new reality, and it's dangerous, and it's scary, and it's beautiful all at the same time. And watching my family come back around, and feeling the love from my family coming back around, and not just from my immediate family of me, Chris, and the girls, but from extended family. This is like mind-blowing to me, and so for that I'm really grateful. But I just want to say, when people get hit with something like this, I'm sorry, I'm not going back to fucking work tomorrow because I need to make the money. I don't fucking care if my bills are late. I don't fucking care if I end up homeless again, but I do fucking care that I spend important moments with my kid that I'll never get back, especially if she's gone. I drove her to the hospital that night because the ambulance would have taken longer, and I drove her to the hospital having this fear my mind that she was going to die the moment I walked her in there. She was going to be coding by the time they got her in. And I can't tell you how scared I was. And for me to take my kid to the hospital, I cure everything at home. I cure everything. And my daughters knew. They knew if mommy takes us to the hospital, we either have a broken arm, broken leg, or we're dying. That is how, they'd asked me many times, when will you ever take us to, will you ever take us to the hospital again? Only if you're dying or you broke something that I can't fix at home. Only if you're dying or broke something I can't fix at home. That was my answer every fucking time. And when I told Scarlett that I was taking her sister to the hospital, I can't tell you how badly she cried and sobbed and begged me not to take her, because she knew she had to be dying if I was taking her, and she didn't want to lose her sister. If you're an employer and you have employees and they go through a life-changing diagnosis, such as what our family's going through, say, I'll see you when I can see you, and your job is waiting for you when you get back. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This is huge life-changing. And when are we going to care about each other as a community? When are we going to care enough about each other to allow that time to be a family? Especially when so much of our lives are taken away working for somebody else, working for the man, working for the money, working for the dollar, because you can't get by without it. We got to do better. And I'm here to show a different way. Like, I know that that's part of my purpose too. Like, fuck no, the dollar doesn't matter. What matters right now are the moments with my kid, and we'll figure it out. And God's going to provide for us. He has every other time that we've gone through crazy shit. He has always provided for us. The moment I got kicked out of my sister's house back in 2019, with myself, my kids, and their lunch boxes. That's all we had. Maybe backpacks, yeah, because they came back from school and that was it. We were out of there. They had backpacks, they had lunch boxes, and they had the coats on their back, and that was it. We didn't have any other clothes, we didn't have anything. Well, guess what? I just gotten paid, and I was able to go out and buy us cheap sales rack stuff from Old Navy just to get through the next couple of days. Guess what? A woman that I'd met the night before at an AA meeting called me and asked me how I was doing, and I broke down and I told her, and she said, I have a couch and a spare bed for you. Come live with me. And we went and we lived with this woman for several months. When we thought that we didn't know what was going to happen, when we moved off the island and I didn't have a car to get anywhere. For 3 years, I didn't have a car. God provided for us, and everything happened the way that it was meant to, and I was able to get a rental car to go do the things that I needed to do when I was able to do it. But y'all, the biggest message I can send to you out of this is a long video, is that it's about the love, and it's about the moments, and it's about the experiences, and it's about being there for your family and being there for your kids, especially when shit is crazy. Right now, our shit is a little bit crazy, and I know it's going to get better. I feel it getting better already. It is getting better already, but it's still different, and it's still new, and there are times that I roll over in bed all night long, like, what if her blood sugar drops tonight? What if her honeymoon period kicks in tonight and we've loaded her with 11 units of Lantus, and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to find my kid dead on the floor? These thoughts go through my head because it's true. And there's been kids that have been overdosed by insulin, and they're dead on the floor. So before you throw judgment at somebody going through shit, throw some compassion and some empathy and some kindness instead. And stand by those that are going through shit. If some kid ends up in the ICU up in Virginia, it's not because the parent wants them to be there or they make up shit to get them there. It's because the kid actually needs to be there. And there's severe issues as to why they're there in the first place. And just because they walk out a day later doesn't mean that they weren't affected by that. And it doesn't mean that their family wasn't affected by that. It doesn't mean their family's not still healing. We got sent home early because of the knowledge and practice and wisdom that I have under my tool belt. We should have still been there for a week, be learning all of the things that I'd spent years learning in my career and was able to teach my family and teach my kid and teach my husband. So that's why we got sent home early, but it doesn't make the coping any easier. It doesn't make the transition any easier. It takes time and learning on our behalf. So that was a very, very PG rant. The things that I could have said. So I'm grateful that y'all are here listening and learning with me. Lily's going to be starting a YouTube channel. That I said would never happen. But it's not for exploiting my kids. Like, we could have exploited our kids all of this time. We could have made them do these YouTube videos of all the cute shit we do, but that's not who I was. And I said my kid would never be on social media, yet my daughter has a voice. My daughter has a mission. My daughter has a purpose. My daughter has a light that she is shining way brighter than anybody that ever has been diagnosed with this. And my daughter needs to spread that awareness to other people because she is changing my life with the wisdom and stuff that she is able to put out there. And I believe it's time for her to help change other people's lives as well. So I'll share that information. It's going to be about her journey with Dante the diabetes. I was trying to get her to call her that, and I wanted to also like get her to do an intro video that's like diabetes, 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 and have some like really crazy theme song, but I think she's too embarrassed to even do that. So it was worth a shot. It was worth a shot. So with all that said, I'm going to peace out. I've got to go feed the lucky man this morning and do some painting and some ornaments, and I'm getting into the Christmas spirit this year. And if you tune back a year ago, it was like Christmas spirit of a traumatized soul, basically, and all of the pain and all of the trauma of my life for several decades coming all out all over video. But you know what? I've got a new lease on life, and I've been given a second chance with my family to make some changes and do something different, and I'm going to take that second chance and run with it and be so grateful for all of the things that I've been able to do again with my daughter and with our family as a whole unit. So don't let life slip by you, and don't take it for granted, because it's fleeting. Time is fleeting. We only got this one life in this one body that we've borrowed, and we got to live it. So with all that said, I hope you all have an excellent day wherever you may be. There's a beautiful sunrise here at Fonk Street, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. All that said, I'm out of here. Peace, love, namaste. Adios, guys.